Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Celts Podcast. As you can see, it's another duo act, and Ross came up with the name of Grover Washington Jr. featuring Bill Withers. So we'll go with it, Ross. I've already
The
butchered the names already, but
the
how are you,
older the
buddy?
older generation will get that one. Just the
I
two of us.
I like
But
I like the tune.
I'm doing no bad, Stephen. I've had the COVID this week, so no alcohol for me. I'm on the coffee, but I'm feeling a good bit better than I was earlier in the week, but still not 100%.
Good man, good man. Good you're on the mend. The COVID struck you down, but you're back. I mean, you should probably have a wee scoop of beer, might make you feel better as well. Like, do you know what I mean? But
Well,
lots
I'm
of people.
trying to keep myself for. I'm going to see Jamie Webster on Sunday, so I'm trying to get to back to the peak of my powers for Sunday. So
Not
coffee it is.
not a clue who that is, to be honest with you.
Oh, for
But
God's sake,
in
we didn't care who
already,
Bill Withers is, didn't care Jamie Webster. I'm away.
oh well,
Right,
I'm not in the
on you go.
I'm not in the mid 40s, like, but sure. Frank Kennedy's in, Craig White the Legends in, Alistair Jack, Ted Thomas, Phil McGinley, the Boise Bus as well is in, and Craig White too. So great to have you along this early in the show, and obviously all the good stuff there. Beer 52 this way. Our show sponsor, go to the website, beer52 /Celts, claim your free case of beer. I know a few of you, like Russell Boys, has already took that option up as well. So again, cover the postage, get your free case, and it's a subscription basis after that, but you can cancel any time. And a wee update on the Super Six, I believe, as well. What was it today? The World Cup counts on it, isn't it?
Aye, so
So
the World Cup will obviously they'll do a Super Six on World Cup games, and your predictions for that will count towards the overall league score throughout the season.
yeah, well,
Pretty much.
that's fair enough. Alistair Jack comes in, Stephen with the Japan like t-shirt. No, mate, I just threw this on. It's a shambles, much like the VAR in Scotland, but we're going to come on to that. Just a wee update on the leaderboard for Super Six. Franny Carty still top. I literally don't know how this man does it week on week. He's on 186. James Bowie 181. Kevin Hampsey 170. Rounding off the top five is Alistair Jack and Jamie Latimer. So let's get. I mean, the objective now is by all means is catch Franny. Like that's
I
the
think
main
it's been
thing, and
the objective for the first week.
it's madness how he does it. I'm pretty sure he has all the analytics on, much like ourselves and stats for it. But coming to yourself, buddy. Match midweek, evening game, Fair Park, Motherwell. Before, obviously, as we always do a wee summary, but before we get into that, again, it was one of them games you kind of just wanted to get the 3 points and get out of there, like, didn't you?
Aye. Well, they didn't start the game well. Not to have a go at the guy because he's just back, but Starfelt straight away, loose pass, early mistake, almost cost us a goal. We didn't get out the bit. We went through the motions, but again, we got over the line. Other things out with the actual players on the pitch tried to stop us. But again, we come away with the 3 points, and at this stage, so close to the break, I think that it's a massive 3 points. Every 3 points is massive, but once again, off the back of an indifferent performance, that's two in a row, you would have to say. But
Yep.
again, we've got the 3 points.
I mean, it's these kind of runs that I know it's a cliche, but it makes champions, doesn't it? Really. You go to these. He's got the hands cough, or Ross here.
Yeah.
You go to these venues and you get the points whatever way you can. And I know you touched upon Starfelt. We'll kind of stay with the performance side of things now, Ross. And I think Starfelt wasn't his usual self. I know he started on the right side of the defence. The previous game, he looked far better, in my opinion, far more comfortable. I think Jens, for me, looks the better centre half at the moment. Obviously, Starfelt's when he come back from injury. But what do you think the factor is down to the performance levels at Motherwell? Like, looking at the game as a whole, you were talking about in our group chat, it looked like a lot of misplaced passes, a lot of the pressing, but again, it wasn't kind of working. I think Motherwell played well in terms of pressing, half the pitch and getting in about us. Obviously, Van Veen had that chance earlier on, and he could have put the one up, hit the post, lucky for us. But yeah, it was just one of them things that just looked not bad, but it wasn't great. Like,
I don't think there was like a particular reason for it. I mean, I think a lot of the players in the team underperformed. I thought Greg Taylor had his worst game of the season. Certainly the first half, loose passes all over the place. Because there was loose passes, you couldn't get any cohesion, you couldn't get any fluidity in our play. But again, we come up. Well, he's right. You can't be shut out every week. But we couldn't get any fluidity in our play, and it was nobody's fault bar ours at that. It was just one of their performances. There was no real reason for it.
It was one of them games, like, you can't wait to be finished, in my opinion. It was just kind of, as I said there, you kind of go to Fir Park. You're expecting it. I mean, in terms of goals and stuff and wins, we've been quite comfortable against Motherwell in recent times anyway in the games. And it's like, you're sometimes as a fan, like David Ferguson said there, 100%, we're expecting to go into these venues and rip them up and come away with the 3 points, 5-0, 6-0, whatever it may be. But that's not the case. And you touched upon Gregory, and it's not like you to really pigeonhole him and say he had a bad game, but I 100% agree with you in that front. I thought he wasn't great. Then we look at the likes of Hatate. I think he was at fault for their goal from Ross Tierney. So again, a lot of issues in that front, but we got the 3 points and we're still 7 clear, and only for probably the saving grace of the Mr. Beaten Super Cape over at Ibrox, it could have been at further extended points.
I mean, I don't know if you're wanting to touch on that at the moment, but that decision at Ibrox, if you put it up against the penalty that was given against us at Parkhead last weekend, it's nothing short of fucking bizarre. But I mean, going back to our performance, you're saying there it was, like we all know, it was poor, but there was moments. It was a poor performance. We created moments in the game where we came up with bits of quality. Obviously, O'Reilly with the first goal, absolutely outstanding work to win the ball back in their box. We had no right to. And then you look at, if Jota's goal stands, then you're probably walking away from it going, okay, we didn't play well, but it was a comfortable night, because it's 2-0 at that point. It it might go 3 and 4. You never know. But you're looking at a different conversation then, albeit it's still not a great performance. In the end, it wasn't a great performance, and it was slightly edgy towards the end, but nothing like, you didn't feel like a goal was coming in the end. I felt like we saw the game out quite well. What was it, like 5 minutes injury time? I don't think Motherwell threatened their goal in that period of time. I think we kept the ball. Well, the first couple of minutes here, I was a bit perplexed, because they were still trying to score, and I know that's their game, but at that point I was like, just take one to the fucking corner, man. But they were putting the corner in, but then with a couple of minutes left, you saw Meada sort of running down the clock, and they started to do it then. But in the end, I repeat myself, professional, got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, quick fire, do you think the international break's coming around the right time?
I was thinking about this the other day. I think in terms of the way we are performing at the moment, then you would have to say aye. But then I watched Angie's presser this afternoon, and he was saying, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. They've known that this break was coming, so they've planned for it. So it's not a surprise. It's not a good time. It's just when it's coming, and it just so happens that we've had 2 indifferent performances. We need to. We don't need to have a brilliant. You want to have a brilliant performance tomorrow, but in the end, at this stage, just get into the break, maintain your 7-point lead at the very least, and go away with your heads held high. Somebody told me in the start of the season that we'd get to the World Cup and be 7 points clear. I'd have taken that. It could have been more, but I mean, a little help from their friends.
A little help from my friends.
Oh, the oldies are coming out tonight, kid.
Oh, they're all coming out, man.
But aye, that 7-point lead, if we take that into the World Cup, it's a satisfactory domestic campaign so far, and we're in a semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really argue that. I know we touched upon the European stuff now, we can kind of leave that behind, but domestically, I think, apart from obviously a few performances, we've been excellent. And going to these venues, as we said there previously, getting the win, and I think Jed Thomas sums it up perfectly. At the end of the day, it's 3 points and a poor performance. But the key part of that is we turned a poor performance into a win, which is great. We're kind of, as Anne said as well in one of his pressers recently, the character of the team's shown at these grounds now. The character's showing through, the willingness to win, the run into the ground, they keep going to the final whistle, as we always say, we never stop. But they kind of touch upon the international break as well. Often we side note, as we always kind of do. Now, this World Cup's coming up, Ross, but see, for me, and we were talking about it at work, I'm not looking forward to it. I don't have a buzz about it. I'm genuinely, not just saying this, I'm looking forward to the Sydney Cup games more than I am the World Cup. And I don't know if it's because there's not much involvement from a Celtic point of view, maybe in terms of like Japan, obviously only called up Meada, they've left out a Tate, Kyogo, I know Carter Vickers is in, things like that, but it's just the whole thing surrounding this World Cup. It's the timing of it, and packing in all these games to the actual event. Like 9 games, what was it, like 30 days? That's madness for a club to do. And I know we always say the professional and the have to and all that type of stuff. But what's your feeling towards this World Cup coming up?
Well, in terms of the amount of games squeezed into that window you're talking about, I think it's a big ask on the players, but certainly in terms of Celtic, I think they've dealt with it well and they've come up with answers, and they've used it. It's sort of, you understand, he's planned for it. He's planned for this break. He's planned for that window. He's got the squad and he's used it. And we all slated him for making too many changes after the St Mirren game, but he stuck to his guns and he's kept changing the team. But we've still been picking up the wins and we've not been picking up as many injuries. So you have to commend him for that. In terms of the World Cup, just the time of year it is, for me, I can't. I'm struggling to get excited for it because I'm going about my everyday life, and it's not in the back of my mind like it's coming up to summer. Oh, the World Cup's just around the corner. It doesn't feel like there's a World Cup round the corner. However, I think once it's kicked off, well, maybe once we get by Qatar, Ecuador, after that, I think. In the mid-state, I'll start getting right into the tournament. I'll have my bets on, have my wee interest, and I'll enjoy it. And I'm hoping and expect that it'll be a good World Cup because there'll be a lot of talent. Excuse me, on display. But I think once it gets started, I'll enjoy it. But it's going to be weird.
The timing of it is a shambles. That for me is the biggest issue. Do you know what I mean? So, as you said, in the summertime you can plan around games, or you can go out with your friends or whatever. You kind of plan a day around it. But when you're working, when your personal life takes over, I mean, I'll watch games at night time if they're on, but I don't think I'm going to be invested in it. I don't think I'm going to be like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Not if you're there in Qatar, you'll get that sort of festival feeling. I think in the summertime, even if you're not in the country where the World Cup is, because it's the summer, you still get that sort of festival feeling. But it'll be like the dark nights and all that, and it'll just be like coming home and just sticking a game on. It'll not feel like the World Cup. But I'm hoping that once, like I say, once we get into it, you'll start enjoying it. Hopefully there'll be some good games. Usually I get involved as a guy I know. I get involved with like a World Cup predictor. It's like a spreadsheet thing that works all out, and it's a point system and all that. So that's quite a good interest as well for myself personally. So I think I will enjoy it. But even after the World Cup, in terms of thinking about Celtic again, you look at some of the fixture changes. I think we're playing on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
it's just bizarre, man. Like that's a lot to ask the punters, fans to go to again. I'll be lucky to watch that game in the house. Never mind go to it. Do you know what I mean? There's so much to do on Christmas Eve. It's a big ask, and it's for me. That's when it comes to this is no, I think, a slant on the Scottish FA or anything like that, because they've been put in the position. But that's when they're forgetting about the fans. When this World Cup was agreed to be in Qatar, it was a money hit. We all know that. I'm no imparting any wisdom here. It was a money thing. And now you've got Sepp Blatter coming out and saying, oh, it was the wrong decision. Like, fuck you, mate. You're 12 years too late.
Yeah. He's an absolute twat, that Sepp Blatter, isn't
Aye,
he?
aye.
He took, for me, he took as you said, a money hit for that one. And Jed Thomas comes in. I'm right in saying they're following players at the World Cup. Carter Vickers, Meada, JJ Moy. Yeah, I think it is. So there is a
Is that
minimal
it?
Celtic
Aye.
rep. I'll watch the games when our players are involved, but like I'll make sure I watch it. Monday comes in. Ross, that isn't a COVID cough. You have, mate. I believe the medical team is Bill Enda's cough. The medical term. He is. He does. He comes at you left, right, and centre. He really does.
Nay.
Monty, get on the viewer takeover, and we'll settle this once and for all. Let's go. Come on. And then
Horrendous cough.
we shout out to the friend of the show, Gary Gregg, local lad and Celtic fan who secured himself gigs to perform at the Qatar World Cup. Fantastic. Well done. We all support you from this podcast. But in terms of back to the game, we'll touch upon the goals here quickly. First one, bit of play down the left, whipped in, Kyogo finishing it. And what I'm liking, he's starting to score the goals again, Ross. And I want to fire this to you. I want to see if I can find it again here. Let's see. Let me see. David Ferguson. Perfect time for Kyogo to start playing in a deeper role now that Ange is bringing in a first striker. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I like the first part of it, David. What I've noticed a lot recently with Kyogo is he's coming deeper into the pitch to receive the ball, which he wasn't doing previously. And that goal, the other one, that pass was absolutely sublime. We will come on to the whole VAR section. I know people are down the ground table, but we'll touch upon the goals first there. But Kyogo getting among the goals, and do you think he's slightly changed how he plays a wee bit because he is coming deeper and deeper?
Well, he has been coming deeper. I don't know if it's a deliberate change by him or if Ange is asking him to do that. I'm not privy to that. None of us are. But there is slight changes. I don't know if he's trying because he hasn't been scoring as regular, and that's weird to say because I think he's still top scorer.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been scoring as regularly, so he's maybe trying more to get into the game, coming deeper to get the ball, get a feel for it, just to get his confidence back up. But I mean, I don't know, but that bit of play for him to set up Maeda's goal. I mean, the bit of play him alone was top class, and it's what we know he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pass, I thought that goal had shades when Jota played him in against Ferencvaros. Similar pass, touch and finish. Maybe not as far a pass by Turnbull, but still a wonderful pass. But just a great goal. And I mean, Meada, shite, can only run, road runner. What a touch! right out his feet. Right there, just comes over the side of him, touches it out perfectly in front of himself, and the finish. He's got it in his locker. He needs to show it more, but he's no shite. He's an integral part of the squad, and he's a very good player.
Let's be clear. No one I know's called him shite. I know there's been a lot of. Hey,
I don't know.
Hey, I never said that.
I never said that. I've seen loads of people saying he's shite.
On Twitter. I mean, you get a lot of shite on Twitter. You know what I mean? You read a lot of shite on Twitter. But
I don't even go in it.
when I see Meada now, and I mean, he's going to the World Cup. Fair play to him. I'm baffled how he's been picked over Kyogo. I'm not going to lie. Even if you bring the two of them together, that would have been perfect. But what I'm liking seeing from him is he's making the darting runs again. He's seeing the space and he's attacking the space. And what I noticed as well, he's taking on the fullback.
Who are you talking about, Kyogo or Meada?
Meada,
right.
And I think Kaiser comes in here 100%, mate. I save all my hate for Moy. But I think like Meada lacked in confidence a lot. And when he got that goal, he kind of kick-started this run. He's coming back into a bit of form, bit of a purple patch for himself. He's taken on the fullback. And yeah, he's not blessed with skill. We know he's not blessed with loads of skill and talent that way, but he has the pace to get by anyone. And that ball by Turnbull, by the way, fantastic ball from Turnbull. It was an absolute beautiful ball. And coming over the defender from here, Meada takes that touch. Any other player probably would have panicked, but he gets it in line with himself, puts it through Liam Kelly's legs, gets us in the end the winning goal. But to go back to Kyogo, again, I just love Kyogo. And I know in previous podcasts, I'm a walking contradiction, but again, you can change your opinions every other day when you support Celtic. I just think seeing him play like this, coming deeper, getting involved, linking up the play, you're seeing a different side to him. You're seeing it because last year and even at the start of this season, it was all about pressing from the front. He was staying up there, being a constant all the time. Whether he's dropping back into deeper positions, he's linking up. And the ball for Yada was, again, like you said, Ferencvaros. It's like them two are just in sync in terms of them runs, and his goal, although it was a 6-yard finish, you need to be there to put the ball in the back of the net, and it's them goals that win titles and win trophies, and we did win the game 2-1. But we'll go on to everyone's favourite subject, Ross, the VAR of doom. The absolute shambolic notion. I mean, Postecoglou summed it up for me perfectly today. He didn't know why there was such a fan for it, but other leagues, including Australia, have had this for 5 years plus in their league, so it's not new. He also said, why are they using it like a new toy? If they're not ready, don't use it. Make sure it's perfected before you use it. I mean, we're all not naive. Let's be fair. We can have human error. In any walk of life, you can have human error, right? But we're led to believe there's 6. Kaiser, and I was going for that voice. Thanks for noticing. But the way I looked at it, we were led to believe for production, if we're on Sky or whatever, pay-per-views, it's up to 10 cameras or whatever it is. 6 cameras in every other ground, covering 18-yard lines, into the midfield, and then that type of thing, and that Hawkeye thing, which I'm not really understanding, to be fair. But yeah, we'll touch upon the Jada incident first. There's a couple we want to talk about tonight. It might take up a lot of this podcast, but let's talk about the goal first of all, right? The goal first of all, the play from Kyogo was beautiful, wasn't
it? Outstanding. It was, just sublime, and like I said, ball over the top, shades of the. I think I was getting mixed up with the Meada goal. Actually, I was describing that as the Ferencváros one. I was actually meaning this. I was getting mixed up. That's the COVID kid. But this one had the shades of the. I'd mixed the 2 goals together there. This one had the shades of that. But it was an absolutely fantastic goal, and then Jota's again touch, composure, just sits the keeper down, and it's still a fair bit out. It's a difficult finish. A lot of players would just try and smash that, and he just gets it perfect and finds the net. It's a tremendous goal, first and foremost, but then
followed by an absolutely horrendous decision. Horrendous. And I'm going to come to you. I want to give my point on this, right? Because I was thinking about it today, and I was going, what way I'm going to put this across? Because I'm absolutely raging. I'm being honest. I'm raging, and I don't want to come across like an absolute rambling arsehole here. But like, I looked at that, and the whole camera situation, right? Them VAR cameras are not meant to be manned. In any other league in the world, they're static cameras, right? So they stay linked on where it's meant to be, right? This is where it gets fucked up, in my opinion. This ball's played over the top. Basically, Jada's making a run just probably 5 or 10 yards from the halfway line, right? It looks like it when Kyogo plays that ball. He's in line with the defender. He runs through, he scores. That's the outcome of the phase of play. But obviously, VAR chalks it off. We're looking for angles, Ross. We're looking for clarification. We're looking to see why we're going. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's a toenail. Maybe it's a fingertip. But we get an angle that I can only describe. If the police were trying to secure evidence against someone and showed an angle from the other side of the street, it would be through out of court. But the VAR team have decided to use an angle from Motherwell's half of the pitch to chalk off a goal, which has been proved. I think it's been onside from different angles that have been shared on Twitter. Doctor or not, I believe the goal was onside. I don't care if any photo was edited. The goal for me should have stood, Ross. And this whole debacle, and I know we're going to go on to the Celtic asking question things as well, which I thought, again, probably 2 weeks too late from the club, but they eventually done it. What did you think of this decision? It was an absolute farce, in my opinion.
Well, when I first seen it in real time, I was amazed that it was even getting checked, because I thought it was well on. You then see, like, not the VAR replay, right? But there was, you've seen replays since, and I'm still looking at it going, that looks onside. So then you get the VAR one, which the camera is in the fucking precinct at Motherwell. Totally bizarre angle to give us. Celtic rightly question it, and I said in the chat the other day, I says, fair enough, Celtic are questioning it. They need to start questioning it, especially when we're winning. Everybody knows the script. but it was one that I felt that they would answer no problem. They would have an answer for it because it wasn't like, for instance, the handball with Bernabei and the handball with, I'm not sure who it was for Rangers against Hearts the other night.
Davis.
If we'd asked the question on why is Bernabei's one a penalty, but the Davies one isn't a penalty, it's a more difficult one for them to answer because the video evidence is there and everybody's seen it. Whereas that one, the video evidence that we've seen to say that it was offside is it's so inconclusive. It's no true. It's bizarre. And then they come up with an excuse that the camera. Correct me if I'm wrong. The camera was on the dugout at the time of the incident. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, the camera is there to watch for offsides. Like, nobody in the bench is offside. What are we doing here? Bizarre, right? But for me, you're maybe going to go into it. Celtic have got the ball rolling. They've asked a question, right? But it was an easy out for me, the answer, and it wasn't a surprise. The answer we got. The one that I feel they should have really been asking a question about for that game was the one that I think the Motherwell player got booked, and it was, for me, it was a straight red all day long. On Starfelt,
Starfelt, you
remember?
mean? Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
If he catches Starfelt's standing leg, he snapped his leg. Starfelt is not playing another game this season. But by luck, not design, he misses his standing leg, and when he catches Starfelt's other leg, it's lower. But it's only by luck. He was knee high, and for me, I think, I'm trying to remember. Did the referee book him for that? He did, right?
No.
So the referee, no, he did. He booked him.
Oh, he booked him. Right,
so he's booked him, right? So he's seen it, right? First and foremost, he's seen it, and he's deemed that to be a yellow card and not a red. Unbelievable, right? And then you look at the Giakoumakis one, the game before. Now, with the one at the Motherwell game, they don't then go to check for a possible red. Like, why not, right? Because with the Giakoumakis one, the referee didn't even give a foul, let alone a yellow card. But they checked that for a possible red and upgraded it to a yellow off the video evidence. Why didn't they check the yellow card at Motherwell for a possible red and upgrade that to a red? Because it was a disgraceful tackle, and the boy should be ashamed of himself.
If you look at it as well, right, Paul Dack comes in here with a great point, right? So we spoke about this before VAR was going to be introduced. It's going to cost points. It's going to cost league trophies. It's going to cost players, injuries, all that type of thing. Starfelt could have been on the end of a leg-breaking challenge. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It was a disgusting challenge, and it should be a red card. The Livingston player who got sent off at Ibrox did less than that.
Correct.
And this isn't, for me, us going up against them or them going up against us. This is plain to see. You have eyes. You can see the decisions that have happened since this VAR has been introduced. It's been an absolute shambles. You go as far back to the Michael Smith handball at Tynecastle, wasn't given. You go to Burnaby, who didn't even see the ball, literally jumped in the middle of the box, and the ball was behind him. And they deemed that a clear scoring, goal scoring chance, and they booked him. Then you fast forward to the Rangers game on the same night as us. They were playing Hearts. It gets whipped in. From different angles, it shows different things. I know some players are saying hits him in the face, but it's clear as day for me. It's a handball. His hand is literally here. It's there. And it doesn't get looked at. And you're like,
aye,
what is going on? And then you look at our game. You look at the Jada one, right? They didn't have the angles. Alan Burrows, the chief executive of Motherwell, has confirmed, even the Celtic fans, they bought extra cameras from their own expense. So there's more additional cameras there to help them out if a cameraman's failed at his job. We're skipping the whole issue here, that there's no league in the world that has manned VAR positions. They are automatic. They are there to show you different angles and lines. All this fake line shit does my head in. trying to put a fake wall in terms of the picture where it looks like Jota's head is a head of their defender at that time. Absolute shambles. And I want to come to the comments here before we kind of get into more of it here. David Ferguson's kind of addressing you. He didn't book him straight away, Lou Ross. Jed
Did
Thomas, you can imagine the meeting, right, guys? Why don't we say the camera was on the dugout? They'll believe that. What an absolute load of bollocks. Joe Finley, VAR guy, scarring the crowd for Jesus. And then, do you know what I mean? It's just one of them things, right? This whole argument that they've put forward in that statement saying the thing that the VAR camera wasn't trained, then surely if you're being petty about it, Celtic should say a word is the goal, then. A word is the goal, and we'll finish the game 3-1. Because the goal is inconclusive. There's no concrete evidence to say he's offside. Then you factor in the straight red card that should have happened, like without question. Even when I first seen it on the TV, I was like, that's bad. He was so high. He went up with the studs as well. It wasn't as if he was trying to pull out. He was go straight in for that tackle. Then it's just an absolute shambles. We've bought the Wish version of VAR. We have no, there was someone in the comments, please forgive me, put it back in if you hear me saying here. But in the EPL, the Bundesliga in Australia, if there's an offside, they've got sufficient cameras where they can rotate a picture, they can show different angles, they can draw precise lines, even though I hate the whole dot scenario in football, and all that stuff. We get none of that. We got a shitty angle from the bottom end of the pitch to prove he was offside. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, did they not show a better angle of Meada's goal? I'm pretty sure there was that you actually seen who was onside and offside there. Meada was onside.
Obviously,
maybe the cameraman actually got up off his arse and pointed it at the game.
Nothing interesting happening on the bench at that point. But I mean, I really don't know the full ins and outs, all the cameras and all the rules and stuff like that. But looking at all the examples you brought up there, right? The Livingston red card, Ibrox, etc. For me, Celtic asked, there was questions to be asked, and out of all the questions to be asked, they asked the shittiest one out of them all.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they should be asking questions about, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Incompetence?
No, the inconsistencies in decisions.
Yeah.
So, like, the two handballs, Bernabei, Davies, the red card, the yellow card at Fir Park the other night, not getting upgraded to a red, but the Livingston one at Ibrox getting upgraded to a red. Like, the whole VAR is, the whole system is no surprise, like, how poorly it's being used. And the one that's the least surprising is that, call me paranoid or whatever you want, but there's not one decision so far made by VAR that's been changed or, like, upgraded or anything that's benefited Celtic. Not one.
I agree.
And I'm saying, like, make the decision if it needs to be made, but there's not. All the decisions being made, not one decision has benefited Celtic. It's always been a hindrance. And for me, there's another team who almost all of the time it has benefited. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm no paranoid. I don't think I'm a. People probably will say it that I'm a, but that's how it looks to me.
This is the issue for me. Like I said it to you guys, a lot of Celtic fans try and convince themselves that there's not an issue here. There's not something that needs to be looked at. This has been going on for years, right? We all know it has. There is an unconscious biasm towards a certain club. I mean, come on. When you don't have to tell what teams you support in your application form, you know something's up with that. And if it's Celtic as well, by the way, if the referee supports Celtic, he's been nowhere near the game in terms of sport and fairness. 100% agree with that.
There has to be an unconscious bias in their favour, because all the inconsistencies, all the things that they're going in Rangers' favour and they're going against Celtic.
Well, why do you think that is, though? There has to be a reason.
Well, I think that everybody has got unconscious bias in them, right? No matter what it is. If they just have, like, sometimes you'll look at a decision and you'll err on the side that it should have went to Celtic because you're a Celtic supporter. If it's a sort of contentious one, not all the time, but sometimes you will, and you'll take a step back later on and go, oh, that was talking shite there or whatever. He's bang on.
Yeah, he's bang on.
Because it's there now. It's happening, and it's there for all to see. And I don't know if they're not trying to hide it, but if they are, they're not doing a very good job at it, because it's clear as day. Like, it's actually unbelievable, some of the decisions I've seen being made by VAR. And it's, I mean, that one, I can't get my head round. I've tried to understand it and think they would probably argue that the two penalty. I'm going back to the two penalty decisions again because it's really like got on my tits, that one. Like, they'll probably argue that the Bernabei one, although he can't see it, is Stephen Fletcher's header goal bound.
No, but come on, the header last night, I know Wednesday, it was goal bound as well.
I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to think what their argument would be for giving it and not giving it, and I think maybe that's what they would go with. But for me, the Rangers one is more of a penalty. But again, right, the referee on the pitch doesn't give it, right, but they don't go to the video. They just go, it's not a penalty. Whereas the referee in the pitch with Bernabei didn't give it, but they went to the video. And then they gave it.
Quick question. Picture it was Celtic playing Hearts, would a penalty been given?
100%. Yeah. Well, the proof's in the pudding, because they went to the video with Bernabei, he's back to the ball, and they overturned the referee's decision on the pitch and told him it was a penalty. Well, they never overturned it, but they told him to go and have a look at it. And then he overturned it. But he was always going to overturn it, because any referee, it goes to the monitor and has been told to look at something, they change their mind.
Yep.
Baffles me. Absolutely baffles me. It's the same with the one at Hearts. Hearts got a penalty. They go to the referee, doesn't give it on the field of play, but they tell the referee to go and have a look at it, and he gives it. Then the Celtic got a, which is a stonewaller, seconds. Don't even look at it. Don't even look at the video ref. Then you've got the Bernabei one. Again, go and look at the video. The Rangers one. Don't look at the video. How the fuck can we not be paranoid or think there's a conspiracy or a bias? How can we know? It's all there. Plain and simple.
I 100% agree. And the thing that's most baffling about it all, Celtic fund most of it in terms of the whole VAR for the whole SPFL. And I don't want people to think I'm wanting all these decisions to be given to Celtic out of no reason. I'm putting this in context. I want a fair game across the SPFL. Right. Yeah, a fair shot at it, a fair go at it. If you need to look at the VAR monitor, you do that. The fact that I watched the replay of the Hearts reaction, I think it was Cammy Devlin, the wee terrier guy I always talk about, and he walked up to the referee and he wasn't even angry, because it looked like to me that he just knew what was happening. He kind of looked at him half-heartedly and went, handball. Referee was laughed at him and told him to go away, basically. And you're like, what is going on? It's like, people accept this now in the SPFL that this is going to happen. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't, where you're in a position where you're going to these games and the VAR monitor comes on the screen, right, fuck, that's just done. Or just for example, if Starfelt had handed the ball for a park there, fucking choking, they'd be choking, whistle, penalty kick. It cannot keep going. And the fact that Celtic called it out, and behind it, but I agree with you, they asked the most shitbag question. They asked the one where they knew they were going to get an out. SFA put out the statement today, and it seems to be put to bed. For me, if you're Celtic, Ross, you would take that 10 times further, wouldn't you?
In terms of the Jota one?
All the decisions.
Aye. Well, I said a few weeks back after the Hearts incident, I said that I tried to give Celtic the benefit of the doubt. You don't want to. I get it's the same as you don't want to be seen as moaning and saying, "Oh, you're not getting this decision, not getting that decision." It looks like, but it's like everybody says, we're winning the now, so it's the best time to do it. But I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt and say maybe they're trying to build up a body of evidence of different things. Well, I think now they have that because of all the things that we've just touched on. So I don't know whether this. If I was Celtic, I would maybe wait until the break, because you're not want to make it a distraction. You want to stick to the football. So once the team are away in Sydney, playing their football, playing their friendly, maybe they can then, in this break, go to the SFA with their queries and say, we're not happy with this, this and this. I mean, they'll need about 10 guys to go, because they'll need about 45 pair of hands to point out every one. But maybe they'll do it in that break so as to not be a distraction to what we're actually doing on the pitch, and that is winning games.
But the question I have, right, and the question that sticks in my mind, we all live in a hypothetical world, right? So hypothetically, tomorrow we play Ross County, right? We know the gap 7 points. And look, and Kaiser called me out here, and 100% agree. Like, he says, how bad is it when a passionate fan is demanding fairness, not an advantage? Yeah, that's all I'm saying, right? So, for example, fast forward till tomorrow. We're in the game, 15 minutes, 20 minutes nil each. VAR, 60th minute gives them a penalty kick. We don't recover, and it wasn't a pen. How far does this have to get before it becomes when we pull the funding, or we pull the kind of money we've put behind that VAR? Because if you're paying for a toy, for example, you want fair use of it, you want fair game of it, and we're funding the majority of this operation for the rest of the SPFL because they can't afford it. So why is there not a fair crack at the whip? Why is decisions not being checked? You look at the VI monitor stuff, and what pisses me off the most, they do not show you a side by side. I'm sure they have enough money to do a split screen where you can see what they're looking at, the lines they're drawing, the information that they're collecting, and even the commentators in the EPL and Bundesliga and whatever, they get it fed to them. They get it fed to them in terms of what's happening, and they can relay that back to the supporters. But it's all hush hush, and then 5 minutes later, we get a shitty image, and we're expected to swallow it up like it's gospel. I cannot stand this. It's pissing me off. I know Johnson in the comments, he's getting in about it here. It's great to see him on talking with the people in the comments too. But it's one of these things, Ross, that needs to be nipped in the bud. We cannot go into games apprehensive of what a referee is going to do. We cannot, because this could affect gameplay. This could affect how a team defends. This could affect a lot of major things within a game in terms of a tactic level as well. And it's John Beaton, it's Nick Walsh, it's McLean. They're all no-hopers in my opinion. They're all bog standard referees. They're all crap. The only way this is going to work, in my opinion, if we get overseas. Now, you can stream it to overseas, right? This is my kind of thing in this. Just an Italian official, right, who's not working in Serie A that weekend, blah, 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 whatever, to sit and look at a couple of monitors and relay information back to the SPFL referees. So you're not getting an unfair biasm. You're not getting treated differently. The referees are told to go look at a decision when it's blatantly wrong. You're told to look at Carl Starfelt signs that could have broke his leg, a Burnaby handball that shouldn't have never have been a handball. It's an absolute joke. And I think Postecoglou summed it up perfect. If you cannot use the item, perfect it until you can use it in the professional environment. He brought it out today. He didn't understand all the fanfare, understand all this commotion for VAR coming in. We were behind the times as a league. We were behind everything. Australia, all the leagues had it, major leagues in the world. We've got it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's a total shambles, Ross.
But what I would say back to that is, I think they can use it. I think they're perfectly capable and competent of using it. But I think that they pick and choose how and when they're going to implement it and against which teams.
What do you mean? Do you genuinely think, right?
I genuinely, I hate being like this, and I always, like, before VAR, like you said there, we can't go into games worrying about what a referee's going to do, right? I would argue we've been doing that almost all the time for decades, right? But it's more highlighted now because it's video evidence, it's plain in your face, purely because they have the option now to go to look at the monitor, and they're taking the opportunity to use that at times for other teams like Hearts, like Rangers, just for instance. But then they're no using it in the same way for to give Celtic decisions that would benefit Celtic and rightfully benefit them because it's the correct decision.
Yeah.
They're not taking the opportunity to go to. So they're using it properly
For
when
other
they
instances.
feel like it.
Yeah.
They're picking and choosing, in my opinion, when they want to go to, when they want to use it correctly. And at this moment in time, there's nothing that is benefiting Celtic. And I feel I hate talking like this. I feel like we're making excuses, but we're not
But
making
it's not
excuses because
excuses. Come on.
because we're winning still. But it's going to catch up with us, and we do need this lead. If it's going to continue to go the way it's going, then we're going to need this 7-point lead. Because I'm telling you now, the first opportunity they get to give anything to Rangers at Ibrox in January, they will seize it.
Yeah.
And the first chance, if they'll not get, Celtic will not get nothing at Ibrox.
Yeah.
They'll have to win that game on their own, like they have had to do in the previous 4 or 5 games or whatever it is, for VARs came in. And it's going to be like that for now to the end of the season, and then it'll keep being like that unless Celtic start asking questions. And even then, if they do, we'll probably get a fucking referee strike again, and it'll just be back to square one. Oh, how dare you question us?
The referees that come in that time performed 10 times better than the SPL referees available at that time. Do you know what I mean? And John comes in. I have a rant and raving in our group chat. Yeah, you have absolutely fuming at it all. I think we all agree on that. Do you know what I mean? But you said something right, and it's come up a lot in the chat. And by the way, Fergus McCann is getting a lot of love in the chat in regards to what he would have done in terms of the situation, call out the referees and stuff like that. And you maybe
but
have
like
a
he
different
did when
standpoint.
Cadet scored at Ibrox. He never done anything when Cadet scored a perfectly legitimate goal that cost us the league title in the 90s at Ibrox.
Well, I don't know much about that, but that's what, there's some comments for Fergus McCann. But they come back to today, right? He said something there. We need this lead to go into Ibrox, and because we're not going to get nothing. Why is that acceptable? Why should we be sitting as it? But why is it support base? Are you getting into a game like this thinking, we're against 13 men, including our supporters already? It should not be happening like that. So, where's the end game? Like, if this keeps happening, what's the end game?
I have no idea, but this has been going on for decades. It's no new. It's just more highlighted now than ever before.
Yeah, it's
listen,
farce, man.
I hate spending so much time on it. It's fucking annoying.
But we'll have to.
But we have to, aye. But I hate it's taking away from what we're doing on the park, and then we've not played well the last 2 games. We've touched on that. We know that we won't play as poorly as that, and probably not win a game. Okay, we'll play better than that at some point in the season, and probably not win it, and it'll be due to a scandalous VAR decision. It's coming. It'll happen at some point in the season. We'll drop points because of VAR, because there's too many decisions going against us at the moment, and it'll the law of averages. At some point, we're going to drop points because of that.
Yeah, and it's a bit shambolic that we have to factor in refereeing performances into that situation. And let's see, we're going to absolutely scud the Rats despite VAR. We're just too good. John, I agree, but you have to take into account what Ross is saying. I'm bang on with him here. Like, this whole VAR thing, any excuse they have, any moment that crowd gets their back up, they're watching whatever's going on, and something will happen in that game. I really think so. We can feel it. It's just a strange feeling. But yeah, we've spent we've spent a lot of time talking about the video assistant referee. I'll give it the proper title, but it's video assistant Rangers, as people like to call it as well. But we'll move on, right? I think that was a great talking point there, Ross. But yeah, this whole Sydney Cup thing's coming up, and we're talking about international break. Ange Postecoglou has made the right choice, in my opinion, by not releasing the Scottish players for international duty in a meaningless friendly against Turkey. I do not see what the big fuss is about this whole thing. I think he's called it right, and I think he actually nailed it in his presser, saying, yeah, sometimes we get angry, but we get over that disappointment really quickly. So, yeah, I'm 100% behind that. I know there's a big kind of uproar within, not Scottish football in general, but some fans saying why not being allowed to go to kind of represent their national team. But if we're going to Sydney, we're representing the club, we want our best players there. Like, where do you stand on that one?
I can see it for both managers' points of view. Both of them are going into games that the Scotland one, they're friendlies, so they are essentially meaningless. But in terms of the two managers, they're not meaningless to them. They're games of football that they're more games. They're keeping the players sort of fitness in and stuff like that. And if Ange keeps a hold of the Celtic players, he can use them as he pleases and as he sees fit. He doesn't want to lose MD, and he can sort of gauge how he's want to use them to keep them fresh for going into after the World Cup and that, and make sure they hopefully don't get injured. But then you look at it, I dare say that some of the Scottish boys probably want to go with the national team because it's great. It's another cap. It might even be a cap that maybe some of them probably never thought they would get. For me, I'm not bothered either way. If they went and played with Scotland, I'll be quite happy watching them playing for Scotland. They're not, so I'll be quite happy watching them playing for Celtic. I can understand Clark's frustrations, but I can also understand why Postecoglou hasn't let them go. And Steve Clark, he tried to make the point that it wasn't an official international break. I mean, there's a World Cup on, so I mean, it couldn't get any more official than that. But by rights, FIFA have not declared it an official international break. So by the letter of the law, Postecoglou is well within his rights to do what he's done. And he, by the way, has been an international manager, so he'll know. He sees it for Clark's sort of point of view. But listen, it's entirely the manager's prerogative, and if he wants to keep a hold of the players, who are any of us to argue? He's not breaking any rules.
I think it's about time that he's put the rank, because sometimes these players go away and don't even feature for the international team. They just kind of sit and mull around and kind of waste their time in international football. This whole Sydney Cup thing, yes, glorified friendlies, but again, it's against medium to top class opposition if you include Everton and that, and Sydney FC and all that type of stuff. And it's for the fans in Australia. And whether we like it or not, this is the type of thing that modern football does. You do these tours, you gain traction, you gain momentum, you get a bit of money from it, like we are doing. And Postecoglou gets his homecoming, however cheesy that may sound. And to the point in terms of you look at international duty, it brings it back to the wider issue for me. I do not like international football during the actual football season. It doesn't bode well with me. Let the football season play out, and then let them play towards the end of the season when it's all kind of finished. And yeah, you kind of understand where Steve Clark's coming from, but Postecoglou nailed it. You get over that disappointment pretty quickly. And I think going to the Sydney Cup for him is a big issue. And Harry Kewell even said it today in his press conference that they're all looking forward to it, get over there, kind of showcasing in front of the Aussie fans, and everyone deserves to see the full team playing, don't
they? Aye, well, I suppose they do, but again, I'm not that like, it'll be great for Postecoglou to take the team to Australia, back to his homeland, and showcase his team in front of the home fans, people that he respects and they respect him. And it's great for the Celtic fans in Australia who otherwise maybe wouldn't get to a game and watch Celtic playing live in the flesh. It's good that way. It's good commercially. I mean, I will watch the games, but I'm not like sitting with bated breath, totally excited about it. It'll just be a couple of games you'll go through the motions, and Everton are a fucking bag of shite to watch, so it's not really igniting a fire within me, but I will watch it because it's Celtic.
It's better than the World Cup, isn't it? the Sydney Cup. But hey, again, another issue that's kind of in the back burner of the Celtic supporters' mind I've seen kind of crop up recently is Maurice Jens. Should we sign him permanently? And I think you made a great point. Starfelt on the left-hand side didn't look himself, although he played that position most of last season and he looked comfortable. I just thought he made a few mistakes. Do you think signing Jens would be the safer option here to kind of back up if we get Kobayashi in from Fisel Kobe in January?
Don't know if it's a safe option, but
well, I mean, they kind of beef up the centre back options.
Aye, I mean, if we're able to, is he option to buy? Is that what his loan is? Option to buy? Aye. I think for me, I agree with Monty there. They're all saying it. I absolutely would sign Jens. Reason being is for a number of years, Celtic have tried and tried to get really good centre halves and couple of loan guys. It's just not really worked. It's a very difficult position to get, and right now we've got Carter Vickers in, and we've got Starfelt, and they formed a great partnership last season. I think Jens would. I mean, you can always get better, right? Of course you can, but for Celtic, better the devil you know. I think Jens has come in, done a really good job. He looks like he's suited to the way Ange wants to play football. I said at the start of the season I felt like Jens would take Starfelt's place. Starfelt's been out injured. I think they both bring different qualities. Both of them bring bits. Carter Vickers is the full package. I think Starfelt brings the physicality more than Jens. He'll win his duels, he'll win his header. And Jens, he does all right. But in terms of bringing the ball out for the ball, I think you see it when Carter Vickers and Starfelt play. Carter Vickers is the guy who brings the ball out and finds the pass. Starfelt will pass it to him. When Jens plays, Carter Vickers is the guy that passes it to Jens.
Yeah,
he's the better ball playing centre half out of the three. He's not the most physical. He can lose physical battles at times, but I think he's done. I said he was going to at the start of the season. I got a bit excited and said he was going to end up better than Carter Vickers. I'm not so sure about that now, but I think he's still a very good player. A player that I really like. I am Monty. Wait till you get to know me and we get in that date. You'll get him the full package.
Oh yes.
But no, I think it's a no-brainer. You have to sign Jens. I don't think it's as imperative as, like, say, having to needing to sign Carter Vickers last season. But I think if you get Jens in and we get can't mind the guy's name, the Japanese boy, Kobayashi. If he comes in, you're probably looking at we're going to offload Welsh at that point. Yeah. But I mean that's 4 centre halves then, and I don't know what the Kobayashi's like, but I would say that the other 3 we know whoever comes in is going to do a job, certainly domestically, and again in Europe. They didn't do amazing this season, but they didn't do horrifically bad, and you hope that they, like the whole team, you hope they progress and they get better. And I think it's more, it's not so much the defensive, like the 2 centre halves and the right and left back or whatever. I think it's the unit that needs to get better in terms of the whole team defending as a unit, doing everything Ange wants them to do as a unit a bit better than they did in the Champions League there. I think that's I think the players are good enough. I think the unit needs to work better.
Yeah, I totally on that, because a lot of the pressing we've done was kind of wasted. And if anyone watched the stats drop shows with Tony McLaughlin and Stuart Ross, we kind of covered that. There was a lot of wasteless running. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't the cohesion unit, as you said, Ross, wasn't quite gelling in the Champions League for whatever reason. And I think Alistair Jack comes in here. Kobayashi is a ball-playing centre-back, and he's left-footed, which I think that Postecoglou really wants to kind of complement Carter Vickers. I think Jens, as you said, is probably the best ball-playing centre-half that we have in terms of the passes he can play. He seems both-footed, which is interesting. Starfelt I still think will feature quite heavily. There's no question in my mind he's going to be dropped or kind of being a regular on the bench. He'll play probably majority of the games. I
think he's still Angie's number 1 out of him and Jens.
So do I. I mean, you can't really break up that partnership that him and Vickers had unless something magic happens. But yeah, Jens has potential and he's only 23. People are asking how much. I don't know, ballpark maybe 4 to 5 million. You're guessing for a player like him and that age and potential. So I hope we do sign him. I think he's a great option to have. I think he offers a different in terms of the passing he could do. He's very good at breaking the lines and stuff like that. So it's something I like in terms of Jens. But our last league game, Ross, coming up for I think a month. That's quite upsetting to say that. It really is upsetting. Against Ross County, discussing VAR, hypothetically, all that type of stuff. But we'll park that to one side for now. Ross County coming in different form. Malky Mackay hasn't got the same tune out of him that he did last season. They've still got wee good players at what's his name? Dahada in the midfield, I think he's called. Attacking midfielder, a couple of good players up front with pace and things like that we need to watch out for. But I'm not really expecting a game that we're going to be worried too much in from an attacking sense from Ross County. I think we'll dominate the ball. I think we'll have majority of the possession. I think we'll have 4 VAR decisions that don't go in our favour. We'll have to win the game 6-4. But yeah, apart from that, Ross, what's your feeling for tomorrow?
I have to sort of agree with you. I mean, I might be wrong here, but I think Ross County have won their last 2.
Aye, well, they're different in terms of Pats. They're on a two game winning run.
They've obviously got a good couple of results there, so they'll be buoyed off of that. They'll be going into the game with an element of confidence, but it is Parkhead. Celtic are at the top of the league. They're the best team in the country by a long way at the moment, in my opinion. You go into any domestic game, you expect Celtic to win. I expect no different tomorrow. I expect us to be on our reaction pod tomorrow straight after the game.
Yes.
I
totally forgot about that.
I expect us to be talking about VAR on that, but I also expect us to be talking about a Celtic victory, and hopefully we go into the World Cup with the performance to go with the result this time as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a cracker. Steve is a VAR guy, but camera Justin Moy, Jesus, no, that happened out the door. But yeah, tomorrow, everyone who's watching, we'll be doing our first ever live reaction pod to an SPFL game. Hopefully, straight after the Ross County game, we will be on and we'll be discussing whatever result may be and whatever VAR absolute shambles that happens. And then on the Monday, I believe we're doing a Champions League rewind with the man himself, Mr. Anthony Dunn. But yeah, score and lineup prediction, Ross. What we're thinking?
Lineup will be Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, probably Starfelt. They'll go Taylor. Midfield 3 of O'Reilly, Hatate, and I'm not sure if he'll play Moy. I think he'll go with Haksabanovic in the 10. I think he'll be feared in case Moy gets injured before the World Cup. I'll go Haksabanovic in the 10. I'll go Kyogo, Jota, and James Forrest.
Score prediction?
3-0 Celtic.
3-0 Celtic. And yeah, people are coming in. Red Scotland, I'll be there, guys. Looking forward to it. Great idea. Yeah, we're going to kind of look towards this as doing it once a month type thing. Obviously, scheduling people's availability, families, personal life, we have to factor that in. But we'll try and do it more regularly after the Ross County game. We've got a month gap to prepare, so we should be fine going forward with a couple of live match reactions. But kind of my prediction for the lineup, I'll go Hart, Juranovic, Carter Vickers, Jens, Burnaby, O'Reilly, Hatate, Haksabanovic, James Forrest on the right, Big Yakimakis in the middle, and Meada on the left. That's what I'll go for. People will probably go when we drop and chat on that, but again, you have to factor in that he's only come back from injury. You don't want to kind of overload him. You want to ease him into action, ease him into the play to be full pelt when we come back from the World Cup break. And by the way, unfortunately, he didn't get into the Portugal World Cup squad, but it was great to see him named on the provisional lineup, and it just shows that he's been fantastic for us, hasn't he?
Oh, outstanding. But I have to admit, I didn't expect him to get into the Portugal squad. They're fully top class players. But I think his time will come. What is he, 23? 24?
Yeah.
I mean, Jota, he's got the world at his feet. If he keeps performing the way he has been over the last sort of year and a half, I think at some point I hope it's not in the next year, but I think at some point we'll probably lose him for a big fee. And I think he's got all the opportunity and all the talent to go to the very top, but he needs to work hard. He needs to. He's going to mature a bit. Sometimes I think he can be a bit greedy, a bit wasteful at times, but I think that'll come. But he's got all the talent in the world, and he's got all the opportunity to go to wherever he wants with his talent.
I know people say Kent is the best winger. And it's absolutely baffling, isn't it? The wee cutback shimmy that he does all the time. But in that sense, we will be back again tomorrow for our live match reaction. It's weird saying that. It is really weird saying that. But hopefully it'll be a good one. The positive result to talk about. No VAR shit. Let's hope not. But until then, stay well.
Sorry.
It keeps... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what time are we aiming for? Just so folk know.
I'm hoping approximately maybe 10 to 15 after the match.
Aye, so about 5-ish.
Aye, about 5-ish.
Well, saying that, I'll not finish till about 5 with all the extra time for VAR. So we'll go for about 7:30.
We'll go for midnight. We'll be there midnight. But live match reaction. We're looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Stay well. Keep safe. Hail, hail.